Counting on Jinger Duggar won't follow old pattern in future TV show? Counting on alum Jinger Duggar Vuolo continues to share interesting stories about her family and their past following the release of her new book. The 31-year-old has also been embracing every moment of her pregnancy with her third child. Jinger has been commended for the privacy she has given to her kids. But she recently admitted that her doors for a reality TV show are still open. However, Jinger revealed in her latest podcast that things may be different if they were ever going to make a TV comeback. Keep reading to see her statements. Counting on, Jinger Duggar continues to look back. One of the topics Jinger discussed in her latest podcast with Jeremy was their wardrobe system while filming the show. According to the Counting on alum, TLC made some changes for the family and had a very Duggar-like wardrobe for them. Jinger added that they never had the choice to pick what they wore. The network assures that the clothes live up to their standards. But it still wasn't an easy time for Jinger and her siblings. She continued, "I was always a little nervous about that because I didn't know what wardrobe they were going to choose. So that's something where I was hesitant going into it." Jinger won't follow old pattern in future TV show? Jinger Duggar Vuolo also talked about the possibility of them having their own TV show during the same podcast. The Counting on alum admitted, "I don't know. I don't think so. Not right now. Not in this season of life." Jinger then said it wouldn't follow every aspect of their lives if they were filming again. She added, "For all those years, you have the sweet memories of traveling and stuff, but it's not all the same," before saying that not having the same film crew and their huge family would hit differently. Jeremy chimed in and agreed that starring in a new reality show will never be as good as the one they did back then. He added, "Otherwise, you're constantly living in the past. And if there's too much nostalgia, it can lead to this depression because you're thinking." Counting on, why did TLC cancel the show? The Duggar family's reality show was cancelled multiple times due to Josh Duggar's scandals over the years. However, Josh's CSAM arrest in April 2021 was the nail in the coffin. The network gave the family their own private time to deal with Josh's imprisonment. They announced, TLC will not be producing additional seasons of Counting on. TLC feels it is important to allow the Duggar family to address their situation privately. Jinger Duggar Vuolo also admitted that she cried greatly after learning about their show's cancellation. Jason Duggar's fiancé takes Duggar name before marriage. Why? Counting on alum Jason Duggar recently made headlines after announcing that he and his girlfriend, Maddie Grace, are engaged. The exciting reveal comes just days after the Duggar family celebrated Jana and Steven's wedding. Not much is still known about Jason's soon-to-be wife. However, some Redditors are already calling her out for clout chasing. Keep reading to see why. Counting on, Jason Duggar and Maddie Grace's wedding day? Last week, Jason took to Instagram to share his engagement with Maddie Grace. The two made a joint post with Maddie Grace's caption that says, "On the 24th of August, Jace asked me to marry him, and I could not be more excited." The two have yet to share their exact wedding date, though they put a hashtag on the post that says, #Spring 2025, implying that they're walking down the aisle next year. Maddie Grace continues to remain a mystery to many fans. But several Reddit users were left scratching their heads at her social media activities. Jason's fiancé accused of clout chasing? Some Counting on fans on Reddit react to Maddie Grace's latest social activity. According to the poster, she already changed her last name to Duggar before even getting married. This created speculations that she's clout chasing. However, others recalled that several family members have also done the same to avoid their profile names from being taken. The way it was explained after the OG announcement is that she probably grabbed that before the announcement to avoid someone else getting it, which I think is a pretty plausible explanation. Not that she came up with that idea on her own, not gonna go that far. I mean, do you blame her, lol? We have a sub dedicated to snarking on the family. I'd get that bag too. I recall Jessa doing this, and maybe Jinger too? They used the excuse of getting engaged to get a social media account. But yes, they do this to snag the account name. Gotta get that bag. I'm betting someone in the family either snagged it for her or told her to snag it the very first moment she and Jedson Meyer exchanged words, just in case. Not to mention she'll need an income. Counting on, Jason Duggar shares proposal clip. Jason Duggar also took to Instagram to share a clip from his proposal to Maddie Grace. The video shows that the two were only supposed to have a beach vacation. But it seems the Counting on alum grabbed the opportunity to pop the big question. They also shared frontal hugs, which is strictly against the family's courtship rules. But it seems they no longer follow it, as Jana and Steven also did the same while they were still courting. Jessa Duggar's family was suspicious of Ben Seawald when they first started courting. When Jessa Duggar and Ben Seawald began their courtship, it marked a significant moment in the Duggar family's tightly woven narrative of faith, family, and courtship traditions. As one of the prominent daughters in the Duggar clan, known widely through the reality television series 19 Kids and Counting and its successor, Jessa's romantic journey was naturally of interest to fans and critics alike. While the Duggars have always emphasized purity, modesty, and parental oversight in relationships, the introduction of Ben Seawald into Jessa's life was met with a quiet but noticeable level of caution from her family. Behind the scenes of what appeared to be another wholesome courtship in the Duggar tradition, there were underlying concerns, hesitations, and a sense of wariness that painted a more complex picture than what was shared on camera. The Duggar family's approach to courtship is deeply rooted in their conservative Christian beliefs, particularly those associated with the Institute in Basic Life Principles. According to these teachings, romantic relationships are not entered into lightly. Dating, as it's commonly understood in mainstream culture, is replaced with a structured process of courtship, where the man approaches the woman's father for permission to pursue her. Every step is supervised, conversations are often held in the presence of chaperones, and physical contact is strictly limited until marriage. This framework is designed to protect purity and ensure that marriages are built on spiritual alignment rather than emotional impulse. When Ben Seawald, a young man from a fellow IBLP family in Indiana, expressed interest in courting Jessa, he followed the prescribed protocol. He reached out to Jim Bob Duggar, Jessa's father, seeking permission to begin a courtship. On the surface, everything appeared to be in order. Ben was a devout Christian, respectful, and shared many of the same values as the Duggar family. Yet, despite his seemingly ideal qualifications, the Duggar household did not immediately embrace him with open arms. Sources close to the family at the time have since indicated that there was a sense of suspicion or at least cautious observation surrounding Ben when he first entered the picture. This wasn't due to any overt red flags in his character or behavior, but more so because of the Duggars' general wariness toward outsiders, even those from similar religious backgrounds. The Duggar family has long operated within a tightly knit circle of like-minded individuals, and introducing someone new, especially someone who would potentially become a permanent part of the family, was not taken lightly. One of the primary concerns reportedly stemmed from Ben's relative unfamiliarity within the Duggar inner circle. Unlike many of the other suitors who had grown up attending the same church events, homeschool conventions, or IBLP gatherings, Ben was not a long-time acquaintance. He came from a different state and had not been part of the Duggars' social orbit for years. This lack of history made it difficult for the family to fully trust his intentions or assess his character based on long-term observation. Additionally, there was an unspoken pressure tied to the public nature of the Duggar family. By the time Jessa began courting Ben, the family was already under intense media scrutiny. Past controversies, including revelations about Josh Duggar's misconduct, had cast a shadow over the family's image. In this context, the idea of Jessa marrying someone who could potentially bring further attention, positive or negative, was a source of anxiety. The family was cautious about how Ben might represent them publicly or how he might handle the pressures of being married into such a high-profile, and often criticized, family. Another layer of concern revolved around Ben's personality and communication style. Described by some as quiet and reserved, Ben did not immediately charm the Duggar household in the way some might expect. In a family known for its outgoing, energetic dynamics, especially among the siblings, Ben's more subdued demeanor stood out. While this wasn't a flaw, it did make it harder for the family to warm up to him quickly. There were reportedly moments during early visits where the interaction felt stiff or formal, lacking the easy rapport that the Duggars often value in relationships. Jessa, however, remained steadfast in her feelings for Ben. Known for her gentle spirit and quiet strength, she had always been one of the more introspective members of the family. Friends and family members have described her as someone who thinks deeply about her choices and is not easily swayed by external opinions. Even as her parents and siblings observed Ben with a critical eye, Jessa believed in the sincerity of his faith and the compatibility of their values. Over time, Ben's consistent behavior and commitment to Jessa began to ease the family's concerns. He showed up faithfully, respected the courtship rules, and demonstrated a genuine desire to honor both Jessa and her family. He didn't rush the process, nor did he push boundaries. Instead, he patiently waited, communicated openly, and allowed relationships to develop naturally. Slowly but surely, the initial suspicion gave way to acceptance and eventually, to genuine affection. The turning point came during a family gathering where Ben participated in a group activity, showing a warmer, more humorous side that had previously been hidden beneath his reserved exterior. It was in that moment that several family members reportedly began to see him not just as a suitor, but as a potential son-in-law they could truly welcome. His quiet loyalty and deep faith began to resonate more strongly than first impressions ever could. When Jessa and Ben finally married in a modest ceremony surrounded by family and close friends, it was a testament to the power of patience and perseverance. The wedding was simple, in keeping with their beliefs, but filled with heartfelt emotion. For the Duggars, it was a moment of celebration not just for Jessa's new chapter, but for the fact that their initial reservations had been replaced with joy and confidence in her choice. Looking back, the suspicion that surrounded Ben at the beginning of the courtship wasn't rooted in malice or distrust, but in protection. The Duggar family, for all its public controversies and rigid structures, has always emphasized the importance of guarding their children's hearts and futures. In a world where their lives are constantly scrutinized, their instinct to be cautious is perhaps understandable. Ben Seawald represented the unknown, and the unknown is always met with caution in a family that values predictability and control. Yet, the story of Jessa and Ben also highlights a quiet evolution within the Duggar narrative. Despite their strict rules and conservative upbringing, love, when genuine and patient, can still find a way. Ben didn't win the family over with grand gestures or charisma, but through consistency, humility, and respect. In time, the man they once viewed with suspicion became a trusted member of the family, a husband to Jessa, and a father to their children. Today, Jessa and Ben live a relatively private life, away from the spotlight that once defined the Duggar name. They've built a home grounded in the same faith and values that brought them together, and they've done so with a quiet determination that reflects their journey. The early doubts and hesitations have long since faded, replaced by a partnership that has weathered scrutiny, grown in strength, and proven that even in the most structured and guarded of environments, authentic connection can flourish. In the end, the Duggar family's initial suspicion of Ben Seawald wasn't a reflection of his shortcomings, but of their own protective instincts. And while that caution may have slowed the process, it ultimately made the acceptance all the more meaningful. For Jessa, it was never about winning her family's approval, it was about finding someone who shared her heart, her faith, and her vision for life. And in Ben, she found exactly that.